Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Clinic Gym Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Josh Satterlee, and today I'm lucky enough to be joined by Scott Athen. Scott, how are you?
I am well, thanks. How are you, Josh?
I'm
Dr.
good.
Josh.
Now, Scott is an attorney out in Maryland, and I bet a lot of people are going, why do you have an attorney from Maryland on the podcast? Scott has a very interesting approach to business that coming out of a service industry, I think will be very useful for my listeners. So based on that, Scott, can you give everybody a little, 30-second snapshot, who you are, what you do?
Sure. A couple of things. Well, by training, I guess, for the last 23 years, I've been an attorney here in Maryland. And I'm also starting a new company in which I help attorneys design a practice that allows them to live the life of their dreams. So I'm heavy into automation.
Awesome.
Have been since day one back in January 1st of 1996.
Nice. The slug on the end of my podcast always is go out there, maximize your license, and live the life you dream of. So I think we're on the same page there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What kind of law do you practice mostly? Like, what is your specialty area so people kind of get a little idea on their map?
Yeah, we don't have specialties here in Maryland, but I limit my practice to DUI and traffic defense. So that would be speeding tickets, driving suspended, stop signs, DUIs, things like that.
Yeah, so that is a lot of procedural stuff, repeated filings, things like that, rather than like just offering opinion and that kind of stuff, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything except for actually being in court is pretty much automated as far as it's
Yeah.
repeated over and over and over again. The same motions, the same filings. So,
Yeah, I think
all of
there's an
that.
equivalent here in kind of our world, the chiropractic and healthcare world, of like repeatedly you have to get a pre-authorization from the insurance company. Repeatedly you have to submit the billing. Repeatedly you have to do the patient chart note in a way that will get you paid. Repeatedly, like, so there's a lot of paperwork involved. The only real difference I can see is we'll see somebody probably 10 times, and for every 10 visits, I bet you get probably an hour to hour and 15 of paperwork that you got to fill out between patient notes and everything. And in the legal world, I think it's the opposite. For you do about 10 hours of paperwork for every one client interaction, right?
Yeah, it would be that way for most people. That's
Yeah.
why I use the automation. So it's a couple points and clicks and I
Well, I
say
love
that
this because I think there's a lot of people out there that are like at that point where they love what they do. So they love the chiropractic portion, but they absolutely hate the paperwork action and like what the kind of that bogged down of like, this is not why I entered this profession, to do all this crap. Did you have a similar kind of journey?
Yeah, I think that attorneys kind of fall in that same kind of thing to where they don't like doing all the admin stuff, and that's where really the important things happen. If you can automate that, not only for yourself but also for your staff, then your staff can and you can focus on creating the dream practice, and for the doctor, focus on treating the patients, and for the staff, focus on giving a better
Experience?
experience. Yeah, better
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
for the client or for the
Now,
patient.
just to give people kind of some scale of what can be automated, you were telling me, I can't remember what you do, but you said in about an hour you can do 8, is it subpoenas, and a normal attorney doing them by hand is going to do one in an hour and a half or something like that.
Yeah, something like, well, yeah. For my subpoenas, they're all. I use the word bespoke. I steal that from the fashion industry in a way. Even though I wear the same T-shirt every day, or like the same.
Yeah.
I have the same shirts and everything. So
Bespoke is a way to charge double. I think that's
in a way, it's customized.
Yeah.
But it's customized in a way that doesn't look that in an automated way. So it
Mhm.
looks customized. It is customized, but the data sets and the information is used over and over again. So we can do it that way. But with the subpoenas, for example, in a case, I may issue 4 subpoenas
Mhm.
for 4 different people or
Mhm.
entities, and it all has similar information but different, and it's all changed based on the police department and the type of case. And again, this is all automated, and the system knows how to do it on its own.
So the way
And
you file those is different because of the police department you're dealing with?
the form, the actual top form, the subpoena
Yeah.
form, is different for each county.
Well,
So
I think again, the equivalent is like if I choose a certain insurance company, United Health, may need a certain form versus, say, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Right.
And
Right.
so that automation doesn't have to be the same for each person. You can build out each one, right?
What you do is you would complete a let's call it a services rendered form. So each company has the form that they like to have to consolidate the information so that you get paid. And each form is different. And they call things slightly different things, but the information is the same. So what you do is you have a form on your end that you complete, or a way on your end that the data is then compiled, and based on the insurance company that you have in the system, it will grab the correct form and throw the correct information on it. And that way you don't have to think about it. It eliminates error. And in your world, eliminating error means you get paid faster. They don't call back and say, hey, this isn't right. And I know you do work, and then you get paid. I don't know how far down the road. I'm the complete opposite. I get paid before I even start working on anything. But
yeah, but you're keeping people out of the clink. We're just trying to get them to feel better, like.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep their insurance rates.
They're highly motivated to pay you.
Right. Yeah, I always joke that I got into this because I can talk sense into someone facing jail time, but I cannot talk sense into someone going through a divorce. So I stay away from that stuff.
That's probably smart. Yeah. Well, so how did it, going back in the day, how did you start out choosing what you wanted to automate, and what did you? Because I think there's a lot of people out there going, well, you just, this is as good as it gets. I'm sure you heard that along the way. And I've heard that too. Oh, well, you just can't do that. And I always think now there's a challenge, this, now I want to find out the way, it's funny what people just assume can't be done.
Well, I presume it can be done and then get angry that it can't be. So how it started for me was a long time ago. With a love of computers when they first came out. My mom actually had a video vending company, and they had inventory.
Is this like a video store, like an old rental store?
No, video and vending. So video machines, Pac-Man and Qbert. I actually remember.
Oh yeah,
things like that. Donkey Kong, and then vending machines. So, snacks and cigarettes and things like that. And then jukeboxes with
this is the glory days when you could get cigarettes for a couple bucks and sit down and play the console Pac-Man, right?
Right.
Living the 80s movie dream right there.
Yeah, when smoking a cigarette, I guess, in the car with no seatbelts on, and the kids sitting on the dash was all cool.
No crumple zones, no airbags.
Right.
It's Darwin Awards, baby. Survival of the fittest.
Right, man. Back in the fun days. Back then it was if you remember, Lotus 1-2-3.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're quite old enough to remember that, but that was the original spreadsheet. So I was creating spreadsheets for my mom to help keep track of inventory and where things were, especially with the records and things like that. So it's kind of grew from that. And then when I started my practice, I've always been kind of a computer geek and knowing just enough to get myself in trouble, but not coder level stuff.
Now, what year did you go into law? Just out of curiosity.
I started law school in the fall of 1992. So I graduated in spring of 95, took the bar exam that summer. And then we don't find out until October, November, something like that. Got sworn in December, and then started up January 1.
Okay. So then what, how much of the world was in the world of law was electronic at that point? Could you do online filings?
No, we just started online filings here in Maryland.
They said you can file via tablet, but they meant stone tablet, right? Not
yeah. God, it's hard. Attorneys are about as technophobic of a bunch as you can find. The younger ones are better.
Coal miners are similar to attorneys in how much tech they want to employ.
Yeah, at least they're smart enough to carry canaries, though, to go low tech. But yeah, so no one was real. I mean, people use computers. Back then when I was in law school, Westlaw had just started. I think Westlaw and Nexus had just kind of started. So the internet really I got my first email account when I was in law school. Okay, so that's when it started. But I had a website starting day one, really, really bad website. I think you can still find it somewhere. I'll find it and send it to you. It's one of those Google history things. But from day one, I found this software that when I was researching stuff, I found this software called Hot Docs, and it's used by banks and insurance companies and really big law firms. And back then, the pricing wasn't horrendous. I mean, it was expensive back then, but it was worth it to me. And that way, I could actually compile all my documents that way. And I used a thing called Amicus Attorney. So I was pretty much automated from that point, as far as keeping track of everything on my computer, creating my documents automatically, or at least through templates. And these aren't just like you go into Word and you have fields that you go like find and replace kind of templates. This is like templates where language changes in the document based on certain fields, kind of thing. It's a lot of programmatic type stuff that goes in there to figure that stuff out. Changing he, she, it, that all that kind of fun stuff is her. So I did that, and then and that kind of evolved. As you do it, you figure out, well, if I can do this, why can't I? Let's try that next one. And if you remember, Bill and Ted from their Excellent Adventure. So
yeah, man,
I'm always
Keanu Reeves' big breakout role.
yeah, man. I think they're coming back too. I think I saw something on Facebook recently. They're bringing another version of that back. But so what I did is I like to turn things to 11 all the time. So I am really good at finding bugs because I push everything to the limit. Because like you said, this isn't the best I can get. This is the best that I have that I've thought of right now. And every time I get to that level, okay, what's the next thing we can do? Because anytime you can save, a minute or two on something, it's something I heard the other day. I'd have to pull my calculator up. I'm not going to do that to you right now, but don't wear cufflinks, because cufflinks, it takes you a minute and a half to 2 minutes to put them on and 2 minutes to take them off. You put them on every day, that's 365 days a year times 2. That's 700 and attorneys are bad at math, by the way, 750 minutes a year, that you're losing. That's just putting on cufflinks. And that's like missing a whole day of your life for that year, just putting cufflinks on. It's stuff like that.
Well, you'll bill it to one of your clients though, so don't. It's too bad.
Yeah. So but if you can do that on a bigger scale, I mean, if it takes a chiropractor's staff a few minutes or even a few seconds to figure out, okay, Blue Cross Blue Shield, where's that form? Okay, it's here. Let's get that. Okay, they call it this. What's this mean again? And we have the information here, and having to fill all that out, that can take time. Where if you have the information in your system already and you just click on a button, get us paid, it'll fill that out within a second or two.
Well, I like that you said accuracy too, because some, Medicare, for example, I can't remember, it's like box 13D on a HCFA is required, but in, United Health, they don't care about that. But if
they shouldn't.
You make sure that like those things are in there, so you're not dealing with the rebilling and at least then you get your billing down to a single event instead of a multiple piece event to get the same bill in there,
Right.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, I mean, and all that billing going back and forth and over again, I mean, that's reducing the amount, the value of the work. I mean, if you're taking $100 for a visit, I don't remember what it was. The visit cost. It's been a while since I've been to a chiropractor.
Yeah, you pay me $100.
You guys are awesome, by the way.
Yep.
So if you take that and you take, if it takes 10 minutes to bill, so you're taking that chunk out. But if you have to do it 3 times, then that's $50 of your 100 that you're going just chasing that 100, and you're not getting that full 100 either. So you're quickly working yourself into the negative if you have any mistakes.
Yeah, and if you got to have 2 people working because there's so many mistakes and there's so many follow-up calls and all that, now you got more payroll going out the door and life gets bad. All right, I don't want to focus too much on the negative here, but you and I met because we both use a program called Infusionsoft, right?
Yes, sir.
And for those folks listening, Infusionsoft is what's called a CRM, a customer relationship management software, meaning it tracks everything about your customer, stuff that doesn't matter until you go, I wish I would have had that 6 months ago. I wish I would know Scott's birthday. And you're like, oh, shoot, I should have collected that and entered it into my system when he filled it out on the initial paperwork, right? And yeah, it's now called Keep, right? Or Infusionsoft by Keep.
Keep is keeps the
mothership.
The mothership.
Yeah.
I use that word too. I love that term.
But when did you start using Infusionsoft? Because I mean that program's been, it used to be what, 10 grand to get started and stuff, or 5. I mean, it was crazy stuff.
Yeah, it was expensive. I got in on the back end of when I guess they started bringing it down. It was 2013 when I started, and then I fell in love with it so much that I ended up becoming a certified partner in 2017.
Like certifiable partner or certified?
Both. Yeah, I'm certifiable, that's for sure. But yeah, certified partner with them. So
now, again, in a service-based industry, chiropractic, dentistry, law, accounting, like a lot of it is the relationship you have with the client, right? The only thing between you, it's not like the service is much different if they go to you for DUI defense or the guy down the street, right? I mean, as long as he's ethical and like in the end, I'm going to pay you X amount and I'm not going to get a felony, right? Like or dentistry, let's use dentistry. Like you're not going to get that much difference going down the street. So it comes down to the relationship. When did you start? What was your first kind of foray into leveraging Infusionsoft on the client facing side?
Back then when I found it, and it most people think of CRMs as from when they contact you until they hire you kind of phase.
Right. Usually the early marketing,
it really becomes powerful. And that is powerful. That is really good because that, on my end, that stops the back and forth phone calls of they contact me, I try to call them back, that kind of stuff. You don't worry about that. You get that scheduled out automatically. There's automations for that. But on the customer facing side, it can be really important for a chiropractor, especially if you have disclosures that you need to ensure that your patient sees, like a video. I don't know if you have like a video that you have them watch, like, here's the rules of the road, do this, don't do that, the CUIA stuff, right? So where it can be really good for a doctor is you have those videos, you can text it to them, you can email it to them, and you can track how long they watched it. So if anything ever comes up, I never saw that, you have it in your system. Yeah, you did, and here's the date, and here's where you did it.
Right. So if you need to hire an attorney to go, this guy's claiming I never let him know about XYZ.
But also, it's done, and that they saw it. But then you can do the other cool stuff. You can also do things that you keep track of how many times they've come in, and when they hit their a milestone of something cool you can do. You can, hey, this is your 50th visit. Go have dinner on us, kind of thing. Here's
or track their referral who referred them. And when that referral person gets up to, as we saw, 25 people in a year, you want to probably say thank you to somebody that sends you 25 new clients in a year. I don't know about you, Scott, but I think that's a big deal in our world.
That's a huge deal because you can also use especially Infusionsoft has the ability to do this, is your customer lifetime value, or client or your patient lifetime value.
Yeah.
And know that, and you can also have it notify you to where if they are coming in on a regular basis. I think a lot. I mean, I've gone to a chiropractor before when I've messed some things up, usually my neck, but I've been, knock on wood, I've been pretty good recently. But if they're going on a regular basis, if they're falling off, the system can figure that out and then trigger a task for one of your staff to reach out. And you reach out, by email, text, phone call. Yeah. Phone call is huge, or even mail, paper mail. And
it's funny. There's a lot of people listening here are opening a gym on their clinic, and one of the rules in a gym is anybody that hasn't been in the last, well, it depends on who you ask, but if they have gone to less than 8 times in the previous month, you want to reach out to them. So if they're down below 8, so Tom Plummer, a consultant in the world of gyms, calls it the rule of 8. If they're working out less than 8 times at your gym in the last month, call them right now and do something. Send them a thank you card, send them a, hey, here's a free personal training session, here's a massage. I don't care. Just do something, because that 8 will turn into 6, which will turn into they're gone. And one of the only ways you make money in the gym is long-term retention. You spend so much on the front end to get them in that you got to keep them for a while to make that back up.
Exactly. And it costs a whole lot less to keep a client and have them spend more money than it is to get a new one.
Hey, it's Dr. Josh. I want to let you know some exciting news I just found out. I was talking to the guys over at Racket Fit and On Base U, and it turns out that both those courses are now approved for 13 hours of continuing chiropractic education. So each course is approved for its own 13 hours. So if you're looking at what the next CEU course you want to do and you need the hours for your state, check out racketfit.com, racketfit.com, or onbaseu.com. Onbase, the letter U.com, short for university, all right? If you're working in the population of tennis, or you want to kind of get into that country club crowd, doing the Racket Fit certification, I think, is absolutely fantastic. And if you are working in baseball, which I think is like the next frontier for a lot of the care that we provide, I think it's a fantastic group of people that are just kind of coming into the idea of assessments and performance measures and technology stats, then you definitely want to check out On Base U. I think these are both great courses. I've taken them. I teach them. I believe in them. So check them out, racketfit.com and onbaseu.com, and email me if you have any questions. Thanks. So again, like Infusionsoft, one of the reasons I love automation too is it does what you do on your best day. Like on your, when you're 213 days into a process, you might forget, I don't want to send that, or I don't want to do a handwritten card, or shoot, I didn't, for example, in first visit, like I think it's a great idea. Text them and say, we're excited about meeting you. By the way, Scott, here's a Google Map link to our office. It's a little bit hard to find, or here's our address in case you're looking for us. Look for the big, or send a picture and, hey, look for this big red building. We're just behind that. Those kind of things are super important to get that person there. Because if they are driving around and they can't find your place, especially like old folks, like people that, graduated law school in 95 and stuff, like, old. Old
like me, right?
But if they get
I'll drive down to the corner store without throwing Waze on, and I just do that. It's just out of habit.
Yeah, but if they don't find you that first time and they end up leaving, you ain't ever getting that client back. Like, let's be honest, they're going to think of you as just pure frustration, so they're going to find somebody else.
Yeah, and also, I'm just, of course, full disclosure, ADHD here, and I was diagnosed last year, so it explains a lot. And so I think I've done pretty good about not going down too many rabbit holes on you so far, but I just found one. So like, a new client. I don't know if this works very well with the chiropractic industry, but this is something kind of stolen from somewhere. I forget what industry this was, but they schedule new clients at certain times.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, when someone walks in at that time, the whole office just stops what they're doing and they're like, hey, welcome.
Right.
And they go greet them and make it unforgettable for that first time, because it's that first experience. And then, have someone who's tasked to take them around and introduce them to everybody in the office, because everybody knows that, at 2:30 every day, that's a new client coming in. So they know, okay,
you must, yeah. And if everybody knows the name of that person, the 2:30 person is Scott, the 11:30 person is Steve, and 9:30 is Melinda. Melinda walks in at 9:30, and everyone, you must be Melinda. Oh, so nice to meet you. So great to see you.
And like at the gym, they get a special color towel the first time in, and everybody who's a member there knows that, hey, the new people get a new special color towel, so they're identifiable, so they know that they might need extra help, like of where to find things and things like that. So make it a community type thing.
Yeah, that is all great tips there for getting people in, because then they'll never leave you, never. Yeah. So along your route here, the classic you can't do that answer.
Mm-hmm.
What is something that you broke it? You're like, hey, I actually could automate that, and you actually got it to work, even though people are like, that can never be automated. Because you were telling me that your area, like just in this last 2 years, like the courthouse has made the commitment to doing like online documentation or something, right?
Yeah, we're still in the process. Our third largest county just went live a month ago, and it's a disaster. But it's
electronics awesome, paper works, but that middle ground, that's the worst place.
Well, it's the problem is they spoke. Unfortunately, developers are developers, and they do their code stuff, and they had high level people make decisions on things without speaking with the people who actually use the software and who actually are in it. And so they're making things more difficult than needed.
Yeah, I want to, we should have a I just heard Conor McGregor retired, and I want to hire him and go into every developer meeting and be like, hey, how's it going? Yeah, hey, let's see, who's the team that built this EMR system, the patient encounter system? And oh yeah, stand up, yeah, wave your hands, okay,
Right.
Connor, get him, and just have him beat the hell out of him, because it's like, did you ever think maybe you should go into an office visit and see what a visit's actually like? Because nobody in their right freaking mind would ever do this before that, or put the buttons here, make your tree so 13 miles long, you freaking moron. Like, it's great you can make it work, but how about actually making it useful?
Yeah, and the things are, make it simple as possible, make it as trackable as possible. Meaning that way you can, and modular as possible. So that way, when something breaks or something needs to be upgraded or
Mm-hmm.
updated, it's easy to find. And then talk to the people who use it, so they can help you.
Yeah,
And
that's
say,
like where
"Hey,
you should start. So,
is this working for you? Is it? I mean, go to your staff like, okay, what can I do to make your life easier?
right.
What's the most tedious thing that you do, and how do we get rid of it? And then, or what's the most important thing that you need to have? And
Right.
let's make sure they have that in the information. You know, all the companies that are really good, they do the automation. They do the automation on the back end stuff so that they can do the customer service on the front end.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what everybody sees, to make sure, like you said, things aren't forgotten, birthdays aren't forgotten,
Yeah, use the
anniversaries aren't
humans for
forgotten.
human stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
it's person to person. It's not business.
right.
They're not buying the name of the chiropractic company. They're buying different, and that's the really big thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
not incremental better.
Mm-hmm.
You can crack a back only a certain number of ways.
Yeah.
There's a level of being able to identify what it is more quickly than
Right.
others, and that comes with experience. But
So,
making a different experience, I think.
what's something that you automated for your staff that they were like, oh man, this drives me nuts?
I don't even have a staff. That's how automated I am. I mean,
You never had staff?
I've never had staff. I've never.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So what I've automated, the first thing I really automated was the phone calls. I'd get a lead somehow, in either the website or some company or a telephone call,
Mm-hmm.
and even the phone calls. I'd get a phone call, voicemail. I'd call them back, voicemail. They'd call me, voicemail, and it back and forth, back and forth. That's a colossal waste of time. So one of the first things I automated was, for my website, I got a call center. So if someone calls, they go to them, and based on the questionnaire, or based on the responses, if it's a new client, they will then be sent a text message and an email with some more information and a link to schedule a call. And
Mm-hmm.
that schedule is linked not only to my law practice, but also my personal schedule and our daughter's two schedules and our family schedule. So that way, if I'm having lunch with my daughter one day, that's blocked out. They can't schedule a phone call with me for that. And what that does is also allows me to send the consultation intake out to them ahead of time. So all the information is gathered before I speak with them. And that makes the phone call shorter. When I call them beforehand, also they're sent a text message asking to confirm. And then also, I'm working on this. It's on my things to do, but with that, they get a V card. So when our contact information is in their phone, so you have it. Boom, it's right there.
Yeah. If you send that, by the way, we do that, and it does that thing where, like, if I call the person, it says like maybe Josh Satterlee. Like, if you pump them the V card and automate that, and that file exists in the brain of the iPhone,
Right.
it'll give you that kind of recommendation, like, this may be Scott Athen.
Well, yeah, if they save it, then it's in there. They're a contact. And
Mm-hmm.
also, with all these robocalls happening, more and more people have the apps that will block
Unknown
phone
numbers.
calls coming through, even if
Yeah.
they're expecting a phone call from you. So it helps with all that. What that does is it helps weed out the tire kickers. You get a chance to give them information, like pre-sale information, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
to them, so they're ready to go essentially by the
We
time
send out new patient paperwork all the time, right? Like, why have them sit in your office and fill it
that should be
out
done.
when they can do it at home?
Absolutely, should be done online.
Yeah.
You can do it online with a form. And then also that way there's no error in transcribing because people's handwriting is horrible. Doctors and
And this is the
both.
anybody listening to this, I will send you something if you send me an email and you have done this in your office. If everybody in your office, if every patient only needs to fill out their address and sign one time, I will send you a freaking prize, because it always drives me nuts when you go to the doctor's office and there's like 17 forms and you write down your name, address, date of birth, all this stuff 4 or 5 repeated times. And you're like, can't we just, like you're saying, fill it out online? And then can't you hand that person like pre-populated information and go, just sign the bottom? I just need your signature on those 3 pages.
You can do that, and you can also do electronic signature. I don't know if you need in
Yeah,
person.
hand them an iPad and do it on DocuSign or something, right?
Or they can have it pre-signed before they get in, and you can give them.
Well, now you're talking crazy, Scott. Come on, like.
Well, hey man, that's the way I talk. That's the way I talk. I don't.
Yeah.
It's the whole. Okay, that's the way everyone else does it, so I'm going to go the other way and do it some way different. And give them an incentive for filling it out. Tell them beforehand it's incentive, or after they get there, give them some sort of incentive, like a coffee mug or something crazy. Or, hey, when you come in, if you fill this out ahead of time completely, when you come in, you'll get a pass to the gym, a 1-day pass to the gym for free. So not only you're giving them something free on their side, but you're also in a way upselling them to the gym membership as well for free.
That's awesome. And you already have it accurately in your files rather than somebody hearing it over the phone. And I'm sorry, was it Thompson with a P or Thompson with an, there's no P,
Right.
I'll tell you funny. We had a front desk assistant that we had a person with the last name Saunders and a person with the last name Sanders. And one of them was getting billed for the other one's visits in the gym. The one-on-one cost is over 100. It was $115 a session. I get this call one day. Hey, why have you charged me 6 times? I'm like, for what? For coming into the gym over the last 6 weeks. And I'm like, you haven't been there. He's like, I know. And I'm like, oh crap, But
Saunders
she was
happy, Sanders unhappy.
Yeah, she was close. She only won 1 letter off. But Mr. Sanders was not happy, and Mr. Saunders was thinking, God, I love that place. They get great service, and they don't even charge me.
Yeah, and the other great thing with the online forms, as far as the addresses go and stuff, you can also then, in the form, you can have Google Places hooked up to it to make sure that it's a real address. It's a real mailing address, so they don't get the address screwed up. So then you have the correct address to send them birthday cards and other things for the thank yous. You can also make sure that the email address is validated before they come in. So
let's talk about some tools here, because you're a total dork. Actually, sorry.
Yeah, man.
Before I do that, so what is something that you were able to automate that everybody was like, there's no way you can automate that?
Except for the phone call, when I actually talk to somebody, to the moment they hire me, everything's automated.
And give an idea what that's like in the world of an attorney. Because in a doctor's office, you walk in, fill out some paperwork, and now you're a customer, right? But in your world, there's a lot more stuff.
Yeah, there's back and forth telephone calls. There's a consultation intake. I mean, some of the stuff is pretty much the same. We just call it different things. There's the back and forth to try to get the appointment.
But you got to also look at the case and go, is this even worth me taking it on, right?
Yeah, I do. And, that's why we have, for the more complex cases, like DUIs, we schedule a quick 15-minute phone call first. That way we can kind of feel each other out to
tell
make
the people you're
we're a good fit. Yeah, let's see if we're a good fit.
Move to Mexico as quickly as possisable. This ain't working.
Yeah, it's like, sorry, Chief, nothing I can do to help you. But no, also it gets rid of the tire kickers, because there are people out there, especially in my industry, who are looking for the cheapest price. And that's not the way I roll. I charge, I'm on the high end, and we weed out those people. And then
so you're working with people who got a DUI from drinking too much $100 bottle of wine, not the people who are guzzling the Mad Dog 2020.
All in between.
In a tank top yelling, "Come at me, bro."
Yeah, no, I'm going after the ones that realize that their life from here on out can change dramatically if things don't go their way from this point on.
So you've got your whole intake process, except you have to get on the phone a couple times. But other than
one
that,
time, yeah, maybe twice. Other than that, even the fee agreement, and everything. I mean, that's all then custom created in a Word document. Okay, this is a geek warning here. So it's sent from Infusionsoft to a Word document that's custom created. That is then changed to a PDF, sent to DocuSign with the proper signature locations already tagged in there, and emailed to them.
So let me translate what you're just saying.
Yeah. So
there's automation, creates the text document. The person who receives it, your potential client, will get it, and it'll ask for a signature in the right place. It'll have all their information in the right place. It'll ask for a signature multiple places, not just one, right? And when they sign that,
but it can do initials too. You can do initials too in the right place. You can set up to initial. If you have to initial in different places,
I just accepted a speaking contract on my phone. I signed, did initials, everything. So they'll get it, they'll sign, and they send it back to you, and that is an executable document. Like
executable, and they don't send it back to me. They get a link. Yeah. They click on it. They open on the phone, turn the phone sideways like they're watching a movie. Use their finger sign. I'm notified automatically. Mm-hmm. They also can do the payment through that as well. So everything's done right through there.
And the other side of the coin is, if it doesn't occur, right? If they don't actually sign, and you're waiting and waiting and waiting, and it'll keep reminding them, right? It'll be like, hey, we still need your signature on this, or you're missing it in 2 spots. So like in a mortgage where you're signing 42 different locations, it'll say, hey, on page 37, you missed 2 spots for initials. And what are those called? Melrose clause on page 52. And, blah, blah, blah. Like it'll track where you need those signatures.
Right.
Amazing. So let's give some people, this is a horrible way to do this, but let's give some people some tools here, because what you want to do is figure out your process and then find the tools to free that up. You don't want to find the tools and then go into your process, but so we're kind of going out of order here.
Hey man, no, dude, that's the right way. And that's the opposite way that most people do it.
All right.
People find a tool and they're like, that's so cool. How can I make it work for me? But no, that's the right way. You got to figure out what your processes are first. And then based on that, we then go find the right tools to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're going to kind of break that rule, but let's start at the easy/cheap ones. I don't think that most people listening probably realize how powerful the Google suite of Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Forms, right? Because you could have an intake all built on Google Forms, and it'll pre-populate that document, right?
Right.
And that's zero cost. I mean, that's literally zero cost.
It can be zero. It can be zero cost. That's right. Started going back to the email and everything. One of the first things you got to do, and this doesn't cost much money, buy your own domain, and then you can host your own email. Don't have, I crack your back at gmail.com. Don't do that.
Well, you know what I've also discovered recently, if you are using, so I use G Suite, which is, I own my own domain, clinicgymhybrid.com. I use G Suite. So it's really Gmail, but it looks like my own domain for everybody I hope I'm not breaking hearts out there to my listeners, but along with that, unless you have that G Suite, you can't save templates in Google Docs or in Google Sheets. You need to have a G Suite account to save templates. So that template, now we can have our initial paperwork, our initial patient visit template. We can have all sorts of templates in there, and that's huge. I mean, you develop your own library.
I recommend everybody going through G Suite. I've switched everything over to both my practice, the other company, and personal. Everything runs through G Suite for emails and everything.
So good. It's so good.
If for nothing else, and I just finally switched. I finally just switched over instead of using different email clients, trying to find the right ones. I switched over to just using the web browser for Gmail. It's trying to. Saves time also. This is a personal thing. With G Suite, they're so good at filtering out spam and stuff and figuring out if things are,
it sucks when you're sending
social
emails
updates, forms, or promotions. Well, it doesn't. But, rather than going through and trying to set up rules for all this, so it filters this junk out so things are easier for you, it does it. And you can just, if it's not there, you just drag and drop, boom, and it's done. It's fixed for then on out. And then also on the back end, G Suite also allows a lot of automation. So when you get to that point, to getting to the really fancy, tricked out, cool, geeky stuff, it's there. You have the foundation.
highly accessible for other programs. So,
Yes.
all right. So great tool, G Suite. Discover that. I buy my domains actually through Google. They're $12.
Yep.
Like, because what I always find is, for me, it's way easier to deal with their dashboard than like GoDaddy or, Namecheap or Cheap Host or,
Yeah.
whatever it is, .com. It's worth
I run everything through there too. And
$11.
I think we're like this together also. Like we buy a lot of domain names because you can use them for different things. And that's another thing to do. Buy up domain names. I have readaboutscott.com, and that sends actually people to Avo, which is like the Angie's list of attorneys, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can see the reviews and things like that, or rate Scott.
I use Zoom with Josh as my redirect for these meetings,
Exactly. And it costs you $12 a year to do that. And if nothing else, if you have different ones, you can use it for tracking when you start getting a little trickier with your marketing and stuff like that. It helps you with tracking. And it's easier to remember than some really long domain name / this.
Oh, my meeting ID with Zoom is zoom.us or /J /123456789 ABCDE and it's like, come on, like, this is ridiculous.
The more.
And just think about on a business card. Hey, do you have a business card? Sure. Set up a time. Go to book Scott, bookattorneyscott.com or schedulewithscott.com, and it redirects to your Calendly. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I also have on my phone, rather than, I don't carry business cards anymore, but on my phone, things you can do with Infusionsoft too, or other CRMs. Google has a thing where it creates a QR code. So I have a QR code on my phone to where, do you have a card? I say, no. Do you have your phone? I say, yeah. They say, pull it out. They pull their phone out. I pull out my phone. I show them the QR code. They take a picture of it. The most phones now, just with the camera, it will pull the QR code up and it auto populates a keyword to my text number, which then will send them it asks for their information after that, their first name, their name, and their email address. And I already have their phone number. They get my whatever it is.
Yeah, and you can send them, again, that V card, which is your name spelled correctly, your email in case they don't want to enter that in, your mailing address or physical location in your office, right? And your website. You can shove all that in without them having to type a single word, right?
Right. Yeah,
awesome.
It's done on and the phone number is actually more important to have now than an email address. People have a ton of email addresses in throwaway, but they only have one. Most people only have one mobile number, and so that's an important one to have.
I mean, you can use that for two-factor authentication now, or identification. It's amazing. So, all right. So, the ladies are leaving this podcast now because we're talking about the tech. So we gotta pull this together. But so G Suite's awesome. Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Forms, Gmail. You can integrate a ton with that. If you bring in Calendly, I think Calendly is great for anybody that sells appointment times. So people that might be like, hey, on my website, you can book a free discovery session with the doctor. Awesome. Or in your case, they want to schedule that first call. It can block that call. It can send them the number or do a Zoom meeting or whatever, and it'll automatically send them that link. You can even, on Calendly, the paid version, I think you can charge a little bit of money. Hey, it's $20 to hold that spot or something, which, again.
You can. And also with Calendly, I use Calendly for my companies as well, law practice as well. And the cool thing with that is, and you can link your personal calendar. And that's why with G Suite, use Google. You can even use plain Google, but set up all your calendars through Google, even though I'm an Apple diehard. I have everything Apple, except for I use Google for all my calendaring and everything else. It just works better. And that way, I have my kids' calendar synced with it. Not that anyone can see it, but to make sure that if there's something that I'm going to for my daughter, I'm not going to miss it because someone scheduled an appointment.
Right. Yeah. It's awesome for that. And because doing these podcasts and whatnot, it's like, you don't have to, I don't have it set up yet, but what I did with you is, hey, can you do tomorrow? Can you do this time? Well, I can't do it between 2 and 4. Like, if you set that stuff up and you're good about maintaining your calendar, there's a good chance that it'll say, it'll eliminate the ones you don't actually have, right? The appointments you don't actually have. So that one's awesome. So Calendly, any other easy tools that save a ton of money? I think if you're listening to this, check out a tool called Zapier, which Zapier is like the Rosetta Stone. Like, it translates hieroglyphics into English or whatever. But it'll take anything. it'll take a ton of programs and translate them into a ton of other programs, right? So,
Right.
AKA, if I book in Calendly with Scott, it'll populate Gmail and it'll say, hey, you have an appointment at 3:00. But then it can also create a spreadsheet with everybody who's ever scheduled an appointment with you, their phone number, their billing, so that at the end of the year, you could review and go, oh my gosh, on the spreadsheet, there are 138 lines, meaning we had 138 new clients this year, right? Oh my gosh, and all their phone numbers or all their addresses or whatever. It'll build that very easily. You build it one time and it just does it every time.
Right. And you can use that for finding trends. Noticing
Yeah.
trends are really important. And also you can find where the bottleneck is. If you have these processes, you can see, okay, we have this number come in at the front gate. Then, okay, this is where it stops. And you can also, if it's timestamp, if you can see when it's entered, you can also see how long it is from when someone first contacts you to becoming a client. And you can then, once you get enough data in there, you'll get to the point to where you can know based on likely you can find out their actions within the first couple of contacts and how quickly that happens, how much they're going to be worth to you in the long haul. And you'll be able to identify the important clients.
How much have you discovered that like a client is worth to you? Like, what did you assume and what did you find out? So I'll tell you one that's interesting to me. I had a live event, and when I started using Zapier, it would plug in the cost of all the t-shirt, hat, and all that stuff.
Right.
It was costing me $184 more than I thought it was per person.
Yeah.
So if I was like giving out a $200 discount code, I was walking away with $16. Like, oh crap.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway,
it help you find that stuff.
Yeah.
For us, I'm in a really unique kind of business. I have my frequent flyers that come back time and time again, but the other thing is that's good for the automation is NPS surveys, which is the Net Promoter Score.
Mm-hmm.
And you do that in a couple of different things. After they first come in, it's a really good time to say, hey, and this also helps where automation is really good. When they come in that first time, you really wow the hell out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Before they get home, when they walk out that door, you have the automation kick off a text message or an email to them saying, hey, how do we do today? Mm-hmm. And then based on their answer, if it's a rating 1 through 10, if they give a 9 or 10, you then automatically send them to Google reviews or somewhere where they can leave a review for you. So you get that social proof.
By the way,
at that point.
Yeah, the automation is key there, because in a lot of service businesses, a lot of people came in and they didn't know that your place is called DUI Defense your office is called DUI Defense Associates. They only know you as Scott the attorney. So if you look sometimes on Google, there'll be a listing for Scott the attorney, Scott Athen, Esquire, DUI Defense, right? So there's 6 businesses that are all essentially the same thing. So one of the cool things when you send like a Net Promoter Score and then you send them the link to your review site on, say, Google, is you've chosen which review site you're going to send them to. Like, you can clean up the pathway for them so they don't have to log in, scroll through and be like, is this him? I'm not really sure. Is that him? You can send them to the exact site that it pulls up your business correctly.
The exact site and the exact page.
Yeah.
So all they have to do is fill it out. And what you're also doing is by taking only the top 2 numbers, you're ensuring that they are super duper happy. And then 7 down through, 8 through 6, you got to reach out to them soon. Say, okay, what could we have done better? And then 5 and less, that's Mayday. They are pissed. So there's another protocol that you go through to deal with them.
Yeah,
because from the restaurant industry, if someone's happy with a meal, they may tell 2 or 3 people. If they're really unhappy with it, they'll tell 10.
Mm-hmm.
And
but if you look at Amazon, even a crappy product will have either mostly 5 stars or mostly 1 stars. Like the 2, 3, and 4 are more rare. 3, I think, is the least rare one on Amazon. But people have energy one direction, either really positive or really negative, but rarely just neutral.
Yeah, but you get it to them early when they're first in and really happy, and then you got to do it on a regular basis after that to make sure that
Yeah.
you're still on track, because that can also help you in that you can adjust your business at that point, saying, okay, this is what people are asking for. This is what's
Hmm.
working for them. This is what's
Hmm.
not working. And again, it doesn't matter what your business is. It's service one way or another. And,
Yeah.
give them what they want and do it in a different way.
Yeah. So that's actually Google My Business, right? So Google My Business, Facebook, make sure you have everything set up in those two, link it to your NPS, and you can have automation you could use Zapier to say, when I, complete this visit, if you can get your EMR to talk to Zapier, or when I complete this visit, we check this box, and then Zapier's sitting there waiting for that box to be checked. When it's checked, they automatically develop an email, push in the person's name, say, hey, Scott, thanks a lot for coming in, blah, blah, blah. Would you mind filling out or giving us a review on Google? Sends them the email link with the exact link to go to, this and that. And it will solve a lot of problems. And you just need to do that, set that up one time. It takes a little bit of time. Once you have it set up, you're delivering a better product because you're actually asking everybody to give you a review, instead of, when I remember, I ask people to do this.
Right. You're giving everybody
Yeah.
the chance to give you a review.
Yeah.
The excellent reviews then tell the world about you.
Yeah. All right. Any other cool? So Zapier is pretty cheap. G
Zapier
Suite.
can be free. There's Zapier is really powerful in that, like you said, it allows different programs to talk to each other, to use the old vernacular from back in the day, programs. They're apps now, but it allows one app to talk to another. Another thing that it does.
By the way, if you're somebody using MailChimp or Aweber or something like that, it'll integrate with that and pull information in like pretty damn well.
You can get it to integrate with pretty much anything. The difference is how behind the scenes is it going to be. You might be on a practice management system that is old school, not cloud. It's, you pay for it, it's on your computer kind of thing. It doesn't talk to anything else. But if it can create an email for you or a report, you can then take that report and email it to Zapier, and then let Zapier do its magic through everything else, through Gmail and everything else. It can take it from one thing to another. So it can be done. So you don't start off with, okay, what can be done? You start off with, what do I want to do? Mm-hmm. And then you work backwards from there.
Another common one that might work is if you are working with, say, an insurance company or a major employer, and you're getting I've had this with medical groups, you get a standard email that the only variation is, say, the patient name. So it says here it's Healthcare Partners Nevada, and then there'll be a blank for the name of the doctor. So Dr. Scott Athen would like to refer the patient, John Smith. Please call this patient at, and then I'll list John Smith's phone number, right? If you're getting a standard email like that, you can do what's called email parsing, where it will pull the pertinent information and push it over to, say, a spreadsheet. So you can track those people and go, did we ever reach out to that person? Oh, yeah, we did. Spreadsheet says we actually called them 4 times, still hasn't set up an appointment. Okay. Rather than it just living in someone's email box or getting forgotten, or gets, the worst is it gets emailed Thursday night. The person who's in charge of following up with that person's gone Friday. Then it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They come back to, 1,000 emails in their inbox on Monday or Tuesday.
Better than that, man. You get that lead email.
Yep.
Your system automatically sees it. It goes, hey, someone just reached out to us. All right, so let's reach back to them. You send an email back immediately, and then maybe a text message. And if it's from a very particular type of incident, say it's someone who sent you workers' comp only type injuries, right? So you have a little video that you shot that you then put in that email or link to that text message. So they have information
Here's
already.
How to bilk your employer for hundreds of thousands of dollars over the next 8 years. Watch here.
Here's what you need to know. Here's what you need to know about this, or here's how
work comp just drives me nuts. That's why I'm busting.
Yeah, well, I'll just picking something. Yeah, I'm sure workers' comp is like that, but whatever it is. But it doesn't wait for a task till Monday or Tuesday. They get reach back immediately, and in that link, they can schedule an appointment because they're ready. If they're reaching out to somebody looking for information, they're ready to go. If it's Thursday afternoon and your office is closed for Friday because it's summertime, and we're closed on Fridays because that's the way we roll. That's cool. But your office has to be open to where they can schedule that meeting or that phone call for next week. So it's already in the books, and then you still contact them with other information, and they can get all the stuff done.
If you're only known in the service industry, if you're simply known, I should say, as the only people who actually follow up because you're using automation at the right time, you'll be famous, right? If a doctor's office is referring to 3 different people and they go, well, I know every time I refer to Scott, he actually gets back to me. People love that. They love feeling like they're important. And the best way to do that is build automation that's like, hey, you're important. So important that I didn't even let 5 minutes go by,
Yeah.
So I think you're right on there. Hey, it's Dr. Josh, and real quick, we'll get right back to that interview, but I definitely want to tell you all about our Super Conference. It's coming up on April 13th and 14th in Austin, Texas. Now, what is it and what makes it so awesome? Well, it's super. That's why it's called the Super Conference, and it's super because we've combined 2 of the greatest models in all of the clinic gym hybrid space, and that is the Accelerator program. We are putting it live into an event, and you're going over everything we cover in an Accelerator live. Now, we can't go as in-depth as the online training, but we're going to give you an overview on Saturday about how to run the business side of the operation. And then on Sunday, we have partnered with the CFSC, the Certified Functional Strength Coach Program, and they are teaching a course all about the exercise to do and the progressions and regressions to do with your clients. So you combine those 2 models, the best exercise program with the best business model, and you have an absolute super conference. So I hope you can join us April 13th and 14th in Austin, Texas. Go to our website, clinicgymhybrid.com, and look for the button that says Super Conference. Once again, clinicgymhybrid.com, and there's the button right at the top that says, tell me about the Super Conference. Click there. You got all the info. Thanks a lot. We'll get right back to that interview. So Zapier, the G Suite products, Calendly, any other little, you're using some deep things. Infusionsoft's not even the most robust one you got, but
I've go through. My tech stack is so deep and it's always changing, and I'm in the middle of actually changing my whole practice platform over to something that's
you just like pain.
Crazy as well.
You ever seen that movie High Fidelity, where the guy's girlfriend breaks up with him and he's like a record collector, and his buddy walks in, he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm rearranging these," and the guy looks, he's like, "It's not alphabetical, it's not chronological," and he looks at his friend who's completely depressed and angry, and he says, their reverse date of when they debuted as a band. And he's like, oh my God, like, why would you do that?
Yeah. No, because I'm trying to, it's like, okay, I have most of the stuff automated, but I need to get this next step. And sometimes it's just changing tools just for changing tools isn't smart. You spend your whole time changing the tools. You try to go as far as you can with that one tool. You have to change.
There are people with Infusionsoft accounts, for example, that have, so every time that you have something you want to sell, let's say in Infusionsoft, you build what's called a campaign. I've heard about people saying that they have, hundreds of campaigns that all like multiple hundreds have active people in them, and over 100 of them are bringing in. Look at Jermaine Griggs. How many campaigns are bringing in money for that dude?
Right.
It's ridiculous, but those are all little tiny streams of water that are coming in to fill up your swimming pool, and it's awesome.
And your video sets of exercises, like, hey, my lower back hurts. So you make a little video series of things of exercises to do, and you sell that for $7 or something silly like that, and pick a number, and they can watch them.
Awesome. Yep, awesome. All right, Scott. Well, we're coming up against it. Any other tips for anybody here that is listening, thinking, man, I like this? Because Scott, you are part of the reason you're doing the automation is you also kind of got sick of doing the menial task, pulled you away your passion for your job, right? Like your career.
Yeah, I think it's the ADHD of I hate doing stuff over and over again, and I don't want to miss stuff either, because if I miss stuff, that can get me in trouble, and so I want to make it as easy as possible for me, and I want to spend my life with my girls and my wife. Right. I don't want to spend it doing all the administrative stuff.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there. If there's somebody out there listening that's just like, dude, I'm 51% sick of this business and 49% in love with it. Like, solving those problems through automation and standardization of process is fun. It's like a big puzzle, right?
Yeah.
It's super exciting when you actually get it. Many times I've stayed up and I've been like, oh, I actually got this to work. Yeah. Right.
Many nights that I'm okay.
The worst part is though when you tell your wife and you're like, check this out, push this button. And she pushes it and gets a text and she's like, Okay. You're like, do you understand? There's like 18 things happening in the background to make that happen.
And she goes,
Oh,
why
cool.
did I marry you?
Yeah. You got to go to the store and pick up some more butter. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So
yeah. Any tips on the automation front? I think you said it. Design your process.
Get the process down first, one way or another.
Cocktail napkin, for God's sakes. Just write down what the steps are.
Anything. And then you kind of go from there and start off simple. That's it.
Yeah,
start off simple.
Just setting up Calendly, for example, you'll be amazed at what that does for you. If you integrate it, if you're truly good about keeping your calendar on Gmail and then you have your Calendly integrated, it opens up hours that you didn't know were there.
Yeah, and when you're talking about the paid service, like their most expensive service is like $12 a month or something silly like that. I mean, it's
and that allows you to take money, by the way, so you can integrate. Hey, I do nutritional consults for an hour. They're $100. Run it through Stripe. Cash money in the bank, baby.
Yep, get it, and you get it paid up front too. So
yeah, you can be like Scott, get paid for work you haven't even done yet.
And then with Stripe, even better. So with Stripe, if they've used, and Stripe is the payment platform. I think they're owned by Visa. To kind of explain what this is, and if you've checked out on anything online where you go to buy something and it just asks you for like your email address and boom, you're ready to go. That's a Stripe platform.
It populates the card information, all that after you enter your email address, right?
Yeah. And since it's owned by Visa, they've got a lot of good back end sneaky stuff to make sure people aren't scamming you and using scammed phone numbers and stuff. And Stripe is also, they just added, or not just added, but they have PayPal, or not PayPal. They have Apple Pay.
Yeah.
And the Google version of it and the Samsung version of it. So they can do that as well. But the really cool thing is if you set it up right, you then have, when I say your Stripe system on their website has their credit card information. So if they want to buy something again, you have it. Boom, it's just done. And you can set up subscriptions as well through it, meaning the monthly recurring.
Love it.
So you have that coming in as well. So yeah, there are just lots of, find what your pain points are. First, do the processes, find a pain point, find things that you're doing most repetitive, most often.
Yeah.
And then you work on those, and then you kind of work backwards from that. But definitely those forms for the doctor, for the, getting your insurance stuff. You can even take a plain PDF and there are different tools that they're Acrobat is the standard, but there are other forms, PDF tools that are cheaper or free.
By the way, the insurance companies are using automation to crush you with paperwork. So just throw it right back in their face.
Yeah. And then you can make those forms fillable for you. So instead of printing it out and trying to handwrite it, you can turn it into forms pretty easily. And you can go to your local community college and post something saying, hey, you need help with this. And you can get some kid who's in school, you can pay him some money, and then it's a win-win. You're not trying to figure out how to do all this stuff. They know how to do it. They're doing it for you. It costs you a couple bucks, which, even $50 out of your, and pay them more than you tell them you're going to pay them, because then you're a rock star to them.
Yep.
And since you're a local business, they're going to tell all their friends about you also. But it costs you less money out of pocket than your time is worth. You get a better product, and then they get the added bonus of they can put it on their resume or something.
Right. Awesome. Well, Scott, I certainly appreciate your time today.
Thank you, man. It's been an honor.
Keeping the drunks out of prison or whatever you're doing. But I do appreciate it, man. And can you mind throwing out an email address in case somebody's like, hey, listen, I don't think this can be automated. You got any ideas?
Absolutely. It's Scott at lomacsolutions.com. Yeah, got a nice long one. It's Lomac, LOMACK solutions.com, all one word. And that'll find me. And I'm you can find me at Scott Athen on Twitter or anywhere, probably
Facebook, all the goods.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, on behalf of Scott Athen, this is Dr. Josh Satterlee. Say, going out there, automate some stuff so you can maximize your license and live the life you dream of. Thanks a lot, Scott.
Thank you.
Hey, how about that? Another great interview here on Clinic Gym Radio. Listen, if you're serious about starting up your own Clinic Gym Hybrid, then please go to clinicgymhybrid.com and check out our website there. We also love to get you involved in our accelerator program, which will walk you through step-by-step the 42 pieces you need to start your own Clinic Gym Hybrid. I'm Dr. Josh Satterlee. We'll talk to you later.